What is the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. When I grew up, I searched for the truth in religions, in society, in history, and in conspiracies. And the first truth I had to realize was this. No matter what religion people follow, we are all spiritual beings trapped in a physical realm. Our minds can reach into other dimensions through conscious astral projection or through dreams. It was exciting to discover that there was a way out, a method of seeing the truth for what it is. The second truth was harder. The devil is not some distant myth or legend. It hides behind our train of thoughts, pretending to be us, making us believe we are it, following your thoughts blindly, fulfilling desires without a moment of awareness, believing that you are your thoughts. That's the chain of the devil. That's servitude. That's becoming a beast in a human form. And no spiritual progress can happen until the individual understands the truth about their own mind. And the third truth is that it's all fake. What we call history, the ruling royal families and syndicates, the world wars, all conflicts, famines, genocides, mainstream media, social media, AI, all of it is designed to divide us, to pit spirit against spirit. Read through accepted history or alternative history, and there's one red thread. Humans fighting the empire, humans rebelling against the false gods and the rulers, and them destroying us over and over again. But this video is not about them, it's about me. Where I've been, what I've done and accomplished, what's happened in the past, and what's happening now in this present moment. I was born on a holy Thursday right after the Berlin Wall fell, with one of my middle names being Thor. I'm the only person in the world with my full name, meaning Father of Peace, the Stone, Son of Odin, Strong Man's Son, and Flower Fields. My biological father wanted to name me after his grandfather, and my mother wanted to name me after hers. So I ended up with both names. Depending on how you count it, that makes 2 first names, 2 middle names, and a surname, or 1 first name, 2 middle names, and 2 surnames. My mother moved out when I was 4 because my father was abusive and manipulative. By the age of 6, I had already had a near-death experience where I crossed over to the other side, heaven, and met my holy guardian angel or spirit. Child Protection Services sided with my mother, and I was placed in my first foster family at that age. But my father's mother, my grandmother, fought them in court. She eventually won, and she got custody of me after that. It wasn't until I was 20, after deep meditations and memory regression, that I learned that there had also been satanic ritual abuse involving Freemasons and the father of a famous singer from my hometown. Those suppressed memories showed me that they used to torture me and my best friend, who later became a famous singer. I was the catalyst for the ritual, and then the throwaway sacrifice. I realized all this happened when my father had lost his job and was struggling financially. They gave him an offer he couldn't refuse. It also explained why Child Protection Services were so eager to remove me from my biological family. And on top of that, my grandmother was in the White Eagle Lodge, a female Freemason fraternity. By the age of 15, it was obvious my father couldn't take care of himself, let alone me. So the social workers, siding with my mother again, placed me in another foster family. Because of everything happening at home, I had extremely low attendance in high school, and it was affecting my grades. From early years up until college, I switched schools 4 times. Twice because we moved, and twice because of low attendance. When I finally reached college, the school nurse recommended me to the psychiatric clinic, where I received 3 diagnoses. They tried to put me on medication, but I refused. From my perspective, there was nothing wrong with me, and I had already learned to live with the symptoms. My grandmother had also taught me about alternative medicine and to avoid vaccines and pills, so I was fairly healthy at that point. Around that time, I was deep into parkour and free running. Buddhist principles were woven into the philosophy of the movement. I became locally famous for that one role that ended up in the radio newspaper. Fun fact, I've been on TV 3 times. The first time was in middle school when me and my friends were playing The Floor is Lava on the way to the cafeteria, and we accidentally appeared in the background of the local news. The second time was because of parkour. I brought my friends with me, and they were featured too. And the third time, that one was a mistake, but luckily they didn't name me. It was on the 8 a.m. morning news. I ran a youth association for parkour for almost 6 years. Some of the people watching this video might remember me from that time. I still consider those people my friends, even if we don't talk much anymore. And I genuinely hope you guys are happy where you are in life, that you found meaning and purpose in what you're doing. At the age of 20, I met one of the most influential teachers on my spiritual path. He was a demitted former Freemason who had studied alchemy for so long that even he realized the rules of the fraternity were absolute bollocks. He would give me links to scanned esoteric books from different faiths, practically speeding up my pursuit of the truth. After that, I decided to start my first spiritual group loosely based on image board culture, but we gathered on IRC, Skype, and eventually the early days of Discord. Based on my own meditations, I started hosting classes in ego awareness and healing with the purpose of bringing people toward the truth. In total, I've hosted more than 15,000 hours of classes for upwards of 1,000 people since then. This is where I learned one of the most crucial lessons in life. The harder I make it for myself, the bigger the reward. As I climbed my own spiritual ladder and helped others climb theirs, God would point me toward esoteric truths that unlock the next level. I had to be wrong 1,000 times, maybe even 10,000, before I could be right in something. I uncovered the truth about most spiritual systems, the 8th missing chakra, the hidden teachings of the prophets that aren't written in any canon scripture, the Vajrayana and Rosicrucian secrets, the secret teachings of the Masons and the Illuminati itself, yes, even the secret of human history and our origins. I became the living embodiment of a bodhisattva. I did everything without asking for anything in return. I raised people from sickness and disease into health and well-being. I brought people from the dead back into the living, guiding them towards enlightenment. By the age of 33, I had already beaten both Christ and the Buddha. I had more students and disciples, and I had healed more people than those mentioned in the Bible. But along the way, I also discovered a secret about humans themselves. Everyone claims to seek truth on the surface, but when the truth finally finds them, it's uncomfortable, it's unsettling. Most people want a watered down truth, a half-truth, or something that caters to their ego. They don't actually want the truth, because the truth will shatter their perception, their psyche, their fragile ego, their entire way of living. To live truthfully, you must abandon certain hedonistic habits that feed the ego. Truly, I say, if you want to live a spiritual life to the fullest, you must give up some things in the physical. Every prophet, every wise man of the past lived with discipline in body and in mind. If you want what they had, you must do the same. So you can think of spiritual progress as a ladder. At every level, a person has the option to jump off, and most do. They jump off when they feel satisfied because deep down they know that further progress will destroy the way they're currently living. For whatever their purpose is here on earth, they decide that their level is enough. It's like people who read a book or go to church and think obedience alone is enough for spiritual awakening, but they are blind and spiritually dead. While I was teaching thousands of people meditation and Dharma, I ended up crossing paths with other groups and individuals who seemed to be working in the same direction. But after a 4-year-long investigation, I found out they weren't working for truth or for God. They were working for the devil and for the government. Commonly, they're known as LHP practitioners, the left-hand path. This has nothing to do with politics. It's not left versus right. It's the study and practice of modern spiritual systems that come from theosophical and satanic scriptures from the 19th century and onward. Their prophet, Crowley and company, coined phrases like, "Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law," a philosophy that makes all systems of morality obsolete and puts the ego, the Satan, in the driver's seat of the body, fulfilling every desire and every impulse. Most LHP practitioners fail to understand even the most basic Buddhist concepts, and because of that, they walk into every ego trap laid out in the Vipassana and esoteric Christianity. Personally, I believe the LHP is useless and actually dangerous for the soul unless you've studied the RHP, the right-hand path, first. RHP is the compilation of all spiritual schools before the Enlightenment era of the 1700s. Without that foundation, the ego roams free, the beast is untamed, and the devil becomes even more deeply entrenched in a person's consciousness. Their guiding question becomes, "What's in it for me?" instead of the higher realization, "What can I do for others?" The people I met from that community would pride themselves on calling themselves light warriors or star seeds, but the more I learned about their operation, the more it felt like a CIA honeypot, an MK Ultra style psyop. It wasn't enough for them to compete with other groups. They had to infiltrate, impersonate, troll, and bully other groups until they disappeared completely. These so-called spiritual people would refer to themselves as wolves and everyone else as bunnies. They would go on raids and hunts to try and ruin reputations of anyone outside their circle. It got so bad that the people had to form a group called the Occult Watchers Organization, whose sole purpose was to track and note every conspirator, every alt account, and every impersonation attempt the Light Warriors were making. And honestly, rightfully so, because people got tired of the Light Warriors ruining everything. Eventually, underneath their massive fake community and staff, we discovered that they were actually doing blackmailing of minors with private naked pictures, stealing people's money, and performing satanic rituals to try to boost their own popularity. When I think about all the hatred, drama, and mischief these people caused, a quote from Churchill comes to mind. "You have enemies? Good. That means you've stood up for something sometime in your life." It's a good thing to be tempted with power and riches and knowing yourself and the kingdom of God, to reject it and rebuke it. But in the terms of serving the truth, the living God, and the universe, these people took friends away from me, gaslighted them, and bullied them until they lost themselves completely. Not once did I hear about any of them hosting a single class, And if one person actually did go above and beyond, internally they would refer to their own students as playthings, toys they could manipulate. Outwardly, they presented their group as a place to learn magic, but inwardly they followed deceptive and satanic doctrines while cursing their own neighbors. Some of them thought they were spiritual simply because they had 10 imaginary friends in their mind, but they never taught anything to anyone. They just complained that others weren't worthy or that their personal suffering justified being evil. The final ego you have to defeat on the spiritual path is the spiritual ego, and that's exactly the one that most LHP practitioners fail to overcome. While I was learning the ups and downs of people, communities, and teaching spirituality online, I eventually took a step into the virtual realm, VRChat, and sadly, it became a repetition of everything I had already lived through. Before I even joined VRChat, I had already changed my name on social media to the one I use today, and with that came a wave of opposition, bullies, rage baiters, people determined to paint a target on my back. If you want to see how much someone pretends to care about something, just tell them climate change is fake. Watch how they lose their mind, how they cite their fake sources, how they suddenly act like you're attacking their entire identity. Eventually, I met a group of people who actually appreciated my company and who learned a lot from me. But over time, I realized something. They weren't spiritual. They wanted to be, or they pretended to be, but they couldn't see the ego traps of either the LHP or the RHP. The first red flag, they refused to read books. Their attention span was limited to short videos online. The second red flag, they would sit in a popular VRChat world high up in a hidden spot, pointing and laughing at the people who came through. And after being with these people for more than a year, all it took was one narcissist, one love and light performer, and one party pooper to destroy everything. Suddenly, I was the one they pointed at and laughed at. You can't threaten me with taking friends away. You can't micromanage me. You can't manipulate me or tell me what to do with my own earnings. And you can run around and talk all the shit you want behind my back. If people choose to believe you, then they're ignorant and maybe they belong with rotten people like you. When I realize my self-worth, I simply walk out the door. Then you come crawling back saying you appreciate my wisdom, but you can't even apologize for being manipulated by narcissists. That tells me you still believe their warped perception of me, and showing up in my life after all the knives you put in my back, that's not reconciliation. That's just you trying to smear salt in the wounds. I only have one friend, and that is God. Anyone who is friends with that true God is my sibling, my brother, or my sister. And if you're not friends with God, you're friends with the liar, the accuser, the adversary. People have this idea that I need to be perfect, that I can't make mistakes. They forget that I live a human life too. I deal with the same stinking government, the same laws, the same uncertainty as everyone else. And just like you, I can have everything ripped out from under my feet at any moment. The problem with trusting people is that I've learned one truth. Never ask anyone for help. If the people around you are fake, they will use your vulnerability as an opportunity to strike. Society constantly says, open up, be vulnerable, that's how you grow. But society is naive. What really happens is that people will take your pain, amplify it, weaponize it, and blame you for it, and then stand there pretending they're morally superior. You can apologize, show remorse, show redemption. They'll still spit in your face. If you want to know if you have real friends, tell them you're struggling and ask for 20, maybe $50. That's the price of your friendship. If they refuse, you just learned exactly how they value you. And then watch. Watch how they suddenly bring out every resentment they've been holding against you. They'll list everything they've disliked about you for years as a justification for why they don't want to help. Personally, I despise money and what it does to people. It's not that I desire it, it's the fact that everyone else desires it. A rich man gives away his wealth to help the world. A poor man hoards what little he has and thinks he's better than others. Try bringing your money across the river into Hades. Your gold means nothing in heaven. And before you judge me, before you point your finger, try this. Move out of your parents' house. Get a job. Cook your own food. Lose your job. Become homeless. Move back in with your parents. Then get back up again. Lose everything and start over. Never give up. Keep coming back. But no. Most people sit at home with their parents making them dinner and think they're spiritual. They think their political ideology is ideal and believe they know how society should function. Here's the truth. I tried taking people with me to the top, but they didn't want to see me at the top. If you can't defend yourself, if you're blind to manipulation, you're not compassionate, you're not spiritual, you're a coward. People fantasize about being the good Samaritan, but when the opportunity actually comes, they choose apathy and weakness. They love communism, but wouldn't give up a single crumb for another person. Hypocrisy in its purest form. You can brag about being the reincarnation of some spiritual figure all you want, but when you point your finger at someone, 3 fingers are pointing back at you. Spirituality is not an aesthetic, it's a lifestyle. It's a continuous, unending practice of kindness. And when you turn against the people who helped you, who stood by you, who showed you kindness, you are a coward. And I promise you this, your day will come. You will have your hopeless moment, and you will see everyone turn against you, just as you turn against someone else. I'm not your enemy. Truth is not your enemy. God is not your enemy. The real enemy is that voice inside your head that loves comfort, conformity, and mediocrity, and the voices of those in power who want siblings to turn on each other. I showed you love, passion, and the work of my soul, and you couldn't compete with it, not even close. I fear God because I've seen what God does to people who step out of line and fall short of the mark. I've seen what God does to the wicked, and I cry for them. I beg for their mercy, and God simply says, they did this to themselves. You tried. Let it go. So yeah, maybe I am insane. Absolutely bonkers, crazy insane. I still believe that there's good out there, that there are people who want to see a change, who want to stand up for something that is right, who wants to help their friends, who walk in the footsteps of amazing people, imitating them or living like they lived. So far, it's been a lonely path, and I've accepted that it may be so for the rest of my life. After carrying this name for so long, meeting people, seeing how they treat me, even I'm tired of being me. If it wasn't for the pursuit of truth and God, I would have probably been very rich and successful by now. I didn't want to be Paul Atreides from the Dune saga. I didn't want to be part of Revelation. No, I didn't want any of this. All I wanted was to do the right thing and aspire towards that which is true. I can yell from the top of the mountains, it's all fake, you've been deceived, look within for the truth that you cannot see outside. And there will still be people shouting back, we want this, I don't mind. Truth is subjective. I have my own version of truth, or whatever their opinionated ego wants to say in the moment. When I see the mistreatment of all of us, how the rulers in high positions of power act, in the present and in the past, I feel quite powerless to them completely deceiving everyone. Bring me a sick person and I will heal them. Bring me a confused soul and I will make them clear. Bring me darkness and I will turn it into absolute light. But when it comes to government, stay away. Do not tread on me. Do not harass me. Do not take my liberty or my sovereignty. I would rather seek refuge with the mafia or the criminals because they operate under a code of ethics. Sure, the law of the jungle, but still more Christian than the government ever will be. As long as you don't piss them off or cross them, they might even protect you. But you don't even need to wrong the government. They will come for you regardless of being innocent or a criminal, and they will remove you from existence if you do not do exactly as they want or if you have something that they want. According to the prophecy, one day I will be crowned king of the dirt. I do not want no crown or kingship. I do not want to rule over anyone or say to them what they can or cannot do. But I will emphasize, love your neighbor shall be the whole of the law. Everything else is just trivial added unto that. I despise politicians who pretend to care and who are supposed to represent us, yet when it comes down to it, only cares about themselves. I vow with my life that I will never become like those people. They are the dark teachers. Do not mimic these people. And I've studied history. I vow to never become like any of the kings or royalty of the past. They are despicable, unholy, and being the descendant of a king does not make you a king. I've realized that maybe the title is only bestowed upon a person who truly do not desire it, like the Philosopher's Stone in Harry Potter finding its way to Harry's pocket, not because he wants to use it for selfish reasons, but because he wants to protect it from evil getting their hands on it. In the same way, I sometimes think that I've been chosen for a role in this grand scheme of things, not because I wanted to, but because I earned it, or I was the only one who truly understood what the prophets of the past understood, not just mimicking them, but living their lives to the fullest. There's a couple of clues that God and my former self left for me that solidifies my path, which can be taken straight out from the OT and NT itself. Firstly, I was born on a holy Thursday, the day of the Son of God. Symbolically, this is the day of Zeus, the day of Jupiter, and that of lightning. In Norse mythology, Thor defends mankind, fights darkness and the giants, wielding the lightning, dies during Ragnarök and returns in the New World. On Maundy Thursday, aka the Holy Thursday, Christ revealed the new covenant, washed his disciples' feet. It's the day of the Eucharist, the day his true divine authority was revealed, the day of agony in Gethsemane. If I put my date of birth as a chapter or a verse and a chapter, we find several interesting verses. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many. To that I have to say, you are Jesus, you are Christ, as he were, as he will be, you will be, we are all one. And you will know him by his true name, Ishu Nasraya, Emshiha, Bar Yosef Bar Mariam. Verily, verily, I say unto you, he that hears my word and believes on him that sent me has everlasting life and shall not come into condemnation, but is passed from death unto life. To that I say, you are your parents, you are your children, there is no such thing as death, life is like a dream. And Enoch walked with God, and he was not, for God took him. To that I say, before Abraham was, I am. Thoth, aka Enoch, was one of my first spiritual teachers in my inner journey. But let judgment run down as waters and righteousness as a mighty stream. A verse quoted by Martin Luther King Jr. And thou shalt know thy tabernacle shall be in peace. Christ's domain is often called tabernacle, kingdom, and house, which was the embodiment of peace. We have heard his voice out of the midst of the fire. This is God speaking directly to you, and the fire is the calamity of society. This is the word made flesh. Faithful is he that calls you, who also will do it. All were chosen, few heeded the call. I chose to abide in truth, and God chose me. After everything that's happened, after what people tried to do, and after everything I tried to do, I'm still here. I haven't given up. But I won't lie, sometimes it's tempting. Tempting to abandon the righteous path, to just say screw it and live selfishly, indulge in everything, stop caring, let people make their mistakes and just let them suffer. But that would be the easy path, and I don't walk the easy path. Every person I meet is a reflection of me. If I don't care for them, it means I don't care for myself. That would be a betrayal of everything I stand for. What is love really? It's a painful reminder. Love is a path of suffering, suffering in their stead, suffering for them. People say ignorance is bliss, but it's not. It hurts. It's like watching your child fall, cry, scream. How is that bliss? You can hate me, point fingers, talk shit about me. It won't stop me from loving. If anything, the more hostility I see, the more I know I must love. Buddha taught me patience, compassion, and the depths of consciousness. Isho taught me love, the servitude, the passion for truth, the devotion to the Most High. Call me naive, call me dumb, call me whatever you want, but I will never budge on what matters most. Your success, your enlightenment, your salvation, your liberation, your justice, your rights. I am not important. I don't matter. I'm just a guidepost, an inspiration, a stepping stone to the next level. If I can do it, if I can achieve what other wise men did, but faster, then you can do it, even if you go slower. Sometimes I think about what I want written on my tombstone, my philosopher's stone. Never give up. Be beautiful. Love above all else. I'll see you in the next life. God truly loves you. Van Gogh lived as a misunderstood madman, dismissed by his peers. After he died, suddenly his work had value. The way he saw the world, those colors, that perspective, it took his death for people to understand the beauty he'd been trying to show them all along. And I often think about the legacy I'll leave behind. After I'm gone, people will find my posts, my videos. They'll talk about them, share them, appreciate them. But honestly, I'd rather meet people while I'm alive. I'd rather help fix this world before I leave. Revelation says I'll be here for 1,000 years, but honestly, with the way things look, I might need to stay for 2,000 just to make sure history doesn't repeat itself and to make sure my successors truly understand what I was trying to teach. Ignorance is our common enemy. It's everywhere, and it justifies every evil in the world. When you know you're one with everything, it becomes impossible to start a war, to attack others, to win anything. There is no winning, only losing less. God loves wise people, but doesn't tolerate arrogance or pride. Intelligence is not just knowledge, it's how you use your mind to uplift others. Without emotional intelligence, compassion, and humility, you're just intellectual, and cold intellect is worthless on its own. If I could leave behind one quote, one saying, it would be this: don't add to madness. Every action we take is like a domino falling. The past, present, and future all quake from the smallest movement. It's the butterfly effect on steroids, karma and dharma unfolding through our choices. If you know a person or company that repeatedly exploits others, exploits nature, takes advantage of people, don't add to that madness. Vote with your wallet. Vote with your actions, not for politicians or clowns. It takes real courage to walk away from madness. People will hate you for it. They'll be angry that you don't follow the insane rules. They'll try to pull you back into the chaos. But if you stand firm, if you remain on your path, you'll find peace within yourself, your own harmony. I admire that kind of strength, the strength to stand for what's right, even when the entire world is against you. Because deep inside, you already know you are the world, and the world is within you. There is no separation. I believe in you. I want you to succeed. I pray for you. God truly loves you. When you're happy, I'm happy. When you succeed, that's success for me. It breaks my heart that some people take pleasure in seeing others failing. They need others to lose so they can feel like they've won. But I don't take their cruelty personally. I know they are not themselves. So filter out toxic people, recognize your worth, and remember this: you are enough in God's eyes. But to those who crave control, you'll always be seen as a threat. They push your buttons because it makes them feel powerful, unaware of what God will eventually do to them. Be the light in this dark world. Shine like a lighthouse, because if something can be destroyed by truth, it absolutely deserves to be destroyed by it. This is Isho, signing out. We'll see each other again soon.